Hey guys, my name is Tito. I make videos on personal finance on my other channel. On this channel, I talk about other things, like today when I'll be reviewing the new Nollywood film currently in cinemas, Farmer's Bride. When a prosperous, middle-aged and well-loved farmer takes a young bride as his wife, they both try to adjust to the big and small changes in their lives, but once some third parties come into the picture, things prove to be more complicated than anyone could have anticipated. Farmer's Bride is a drama directed by Kenneth Opukeme and Adebayo Tijani. Now, this review will be spoiler-free so that I don't ruin the movie for those of you who plan to go and see it in the cinema where it's currently showing. And I think many people are looking forward or have been looking forward to this film because since the visuals dropped or since the trailer came out and we saw what it looked like, people have been curious because it looks different aesthetically, right? And I know a few people have asked me what I think the film is going to be like, and they've told me that they're looking forward to it for the same reason. Anyway, that said, let's dive into it, beginning with the performances. Gbubemi Ejeye is the bride in this film, aka Femi, and she's this young girl who is married off to an older man, right? And she's not too happy about it. And I have to say, Gbubemi Ejeye did a marvelous job. She's front and center in this film. She held her own, right? And I think I know this is the first time I'm seeing her in a lead role. I've seen her in a number of other things in the past, but it's always been in a supporting role, right? So I was kind of worried, knowing when I realized that, okay, she's the focus of this film, but she did marvelously well. Her character was quite dynamic. Her character was a lot of things. I'm picking my words, I'm trying not to give anything away. Like I said, no spoilers, right? But for all the things that Femi was, Gbubemi did really well in terms of interpreting Femi. The only thing I wish they did with Femi was, I wish there are points where Femi transitions from one state of mind to another state of mind, or from one set of emotions to another set of emotions. I just wish that they bridged each of those points better. I won't say more than that. Femi Branch is the farmer in this film, the man that Gbubemi's character marries. I believe his character's name was Odu. And it was a different type of character, from what I've seen Femi Branch play in the past. Femi Branch tends to play very dominant, domineering male characters in films and things that I see him in. But that wasn't necessarily the case in this particular movie, and it caught me off guard. Nonetheless, it was a brilliant performance by Femi Branch as usual. It was less demanding than the last thing I saw him in, which was House of God, which was a very demanding role, I'd imagine, for Femi Branch. In this one, it was a bit more relaxed. Yeah, a bit more relaxed, but it was very refreshing to see Femi Branch in this light. Tobi Bakre. Tobi Bakre plays Femi in this film. If you've seen the trailer, you know that Femi is a bit of a lover boy. And that's putting it mildly. So, Tobi does a good job in this film. It's Tobi Bakre like you haven't seen him before, or at least you haven't seen him in a while. We've come to see Tobi as an action guy or an action star in recent times, but this is a throwback to the lover boy Tobi Bakre. And his performance in this film shows us Tobi's dynamism as an actor. It shows his range, particularly in the third act of the film. I wish I could say more. But Tobi really does show a different side to himself, or we get to see a different side to Tobi in terms of performance. And he's acting with everything, not just with his line delivery and his body, but at one point with his face. Actually, at 2 points, depending on how you look at it. Not everybody will get that pun. But Tobi Bakre does a really good job. That's what I'm saying. Moving on to Mercy Aigbe. Mercy Aigbe plays, I can't remember her character's name, but she's one character's mother in this film. I haven't seen her in this. I've seen one or two other actresses play the type of character that Mercy Aigbe plays in this film. I've never seen Mercy Aigbe play this type of character before, and Mercy Aigbe does it very well. The character that she plays is a bit mysterious. While you're watching it, you'll be wondering about her past and how exactly she's tied to some of the other primary characters in this film. You'll just be wondering. They keep that air of mystery with this character, and it was a brilliant performance from Mercy Aigbe, if I haven't mentioned it before. At least twice while we were watching the film at the premiere, and she was delivering, she was in a scene and she was, leading that scene. At least twice the audience clapped because her delivery was so masterful. Efe Irele is in the film as well as Banke. Efe Irele delivers. Efe Irele understands the assignment. She's this young woman who is also vying for the love and attention of another character, another male character in the film. And suffice to say, Efe Irele does it really, really well. And her chemistry with her co-stars in the film, particularly the two actors that she shares scenes with a lot in this movie, those scenes were really good and the chemistry was really there. Finally, Wumi Toriola, an actress that I wasn't too familiar with going into this film, but henceforth I will pay attention to any performance by Wumi Toriola. She also plays a mother in this film, and she's not in the film for that many scenes, if I'm being honest. I can only recall seeing her in 2 scenes, but my goodness, one of those 2 scenes is that was another moment when people clapped. She was born to play this character, and she delivered that scene as if she wrote it herself. It was powerful, it was brilliant, and it was a very wonderful scene. And fun fact, Wumi Toriola and the star of this film, Gbubemi Ejeye, they are not only in this film Farmer's Bride, they're also in the film Queen Latifah, and both films came out on Friday, the 27th of October. So what are the odds? Both women have 2 films going head-to-head in the cinemas in Nigeria. What I liked, the production design of this film it will jump out at you. You won't help but notice it. And I think even from the trailer, we all noticed how the production of this project or this movie is quite different from what we're used to. The lines, the spaces, the colors, the patterns in this film, everything was unique and everything was intentional. You don't achieve that level of visual beauty and excellence just by chance. They were very intentional with how they wanted this film to look, and I think it was a slam dunk. The wardrobe, which I think is also part of production design, was also quite unique. The way they're styled, the characters that in this film are styled, was flamboyant, it was colorful, it was visually pleasing. The clothes in this film told their own story. And that story was in tandem or parallel with the story of the film, in the sense that the wardrobe and the styling didn't like go off in a totally random direction. It stayed in line with the story somehow. I found it a bit jarring at first, but with regards how well these people were dressing, especially seeing that as they live in the rural area and they're farmers, for goodness sake. But somehow it flowed, and somehow it made the film even that more enjoyable. Line delivery and dialogue in this film, another thing that was a bit unconventional. The way they talk in this film is not how they talk a lot in many Nollywood films. The delivery is quite different, but it aided the film in terms of conflicts. There's a bit of conflict in the film, and the way they talk in this film, this unconventional way, or the way that we're not necessarily used to with Nollywood films, aided that conflict and aided a lot of other things in the movie. The acting in the film also was quite good. I felt like the acting lent itself to stage and theater acting, in the sense that if you've watched stage plays, you know that things are done a bit differently on stage, and it felt like they were acting the way they act on stage in this movie. Felt a bit weird, but we got on board and it flowed. It made sense at some point. Sound design was good. The sounds in this film, from the music to the sound effects, there was nothing I heard in this film that turned me off or put me off, right? And as a matter of fact, sound is a really good way to aid storytelling or support storytelling. And I think the sounds in this film, be it music and sound effects and whatnot, really supported this film really well. Finally, creative license. They used creative license very well in this film, because going into this film, there was a way I thought a farmer's life would look. But this film said, no, we're not going to be chained to any preconceived notions of what rural life or a farmer's life looks like. And they did their own thing. They were quite creative with it. And somehow it worked. I don't know how, but it worked. They use it in a number of ways in this film, but it breaks you out of that mold of Nollywood and how we think things, or how we become accustomed to things being done with Nollywood films. So, I mean, kudos to them for that. If anyone can use their license or their agency to do things creatively, if they can use that well, hey, they're all right in my books. What I didn't like, the film felt like it was moving too fast at certain points, and it felt like we were just being rushed from this part to the next part. without proper context. I felt like there were scenes that were missing that could have explained a few things better. And as a result, I personally feel like the film lost marks because of that. I also wish that, and this is a separate point, they did a bit more to establish the community and the environment or the world that these characters exist in. You see, there are a few core characters in this film that we spend the majority of time with, and we're just pretty much zoned in on them. But I think this film could have gained a few more points if we had seen a bit more of their community and their world and understood more of that, because that would have helped us understand the core or the main characters a bit more. And kind of piggybacking off that, Femi Branch's character, Odu the farmer, I wish they had done more to make him a more believable farmer. It would have been nice to have felt like he was more of a farmer. I don't think they ticked that box appropriately or well enough. Finally, there's a character in this film, right, who honestly is diabolical, but the filmmakers don't paint the character in that light. So that was, I don't know, I felt like the film, like I said, right, not too long ago, this film is a drama, but it gives thriller vibes. Some may even classify it as a drama thriller, right? I feel like, particularly with that character, they could have done more to, lean into the thriller element and done some like thriller type things, particularly with that character. Who should see it? See Farmer's Bride if you are 18 years and above, because this film is not for kids. There's no nudity in it, but there are love scenes and there's lots of sexually suggestive stuff in the film, and it is not for children. Which reminds me, I saw a child actor that was invited for the premiere, and I was thinking about it after the movie. Why invite a child to come and see a film when you know that your film has scenes that are inappropriate for people under the age of 18? You get me? So let's try and be more emotionally intelligent and more mindful going forward, and not invite people who shouldn't be seeing certain films to come and see certain films. Next, see this film, Farmer's Bride, if you like films on cheating and betrayal. I like films like that, so if you're like me, see it based on that. Finally, if you're a fan of Tobi Bakre's or Mercy Aigbe's, I think you'll enjoy the movie as well. In conclusion, this movie, Farmer's Bride, had a very bold ending. I liked how it ended. It was ballsy. And I think that you won't see any, or you haven't, if you've seen this film, or when you see this film, I can almost safely say that you haven't seen any film like it from Nollywood this year, in 2024. It's a very unique film. It was thought-provoking, it was refreshingly creative, and it was nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking. Time for me to rate the movie. I rate this movie, Farmer's Bride, with 3.5 jollofs over 5. 3.5 over 5. Some of you may give it a 4 over 5, but I'm giving it a 3.5 over 5. It was a good watch. Guys, if you enjoyed this review of Farmer's Bride, do me a favor and like the video by clicking on the like button just underneath the video, and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the black subscribe button. On this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews. Sometimes I talk about other things. To check out my past reviews or some of the other things I've done, you can click the card in the corner of the screen. Very recently, I reviewed the film, which is also in cinemas, When Love Strikes. So if you can check that out as well, I'll link it in the comment section or in the description, or maybe even in the card in the corner of the screen. Thank you guys so much for watching. The next review should be or might be Queen Latifah, which I talked about earlier. I wish I was invited for the premiere, because if I was, I would definitely have reviewed it by now. But hey, it is what it is. So that may be the next movie that I'll review. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been awesome. I will catch you in the next one. Take care.